I was sitting at my desk, paying bills like I do every month. Electric, water, credit cards, the usual routine. It was the kind of quiet, predictable task that usually calmed me down. Numbers lining up neatly, due dates handled, life kept in order. Then I saw it. A charge on our joint credit card from 3 days ago. CVS Pharmacy, $52.47. The description line made my blood run cold. Plan B emergency contraceptive. I stared at the screen so long the letters started swimming, as if my brain refused to translate what my eyes were clearly reading. My wife Emma and I had been trying to get pregnant for 18 months. Fertility appointments, ovulation trackers, scheduled intimacy that felt clinical, measured, almost mechanical. She cried every single month when her period came. I held her every time, whispering that it would happen, that we just needed patience, that we were in it together. So why was there a charge for emergency contraception on our card? I heard her car pull into the driveway, tires crunching over gravel. The familiar sound of keys in the door followed. Then her voice, bright and warm, the same tone she always used. "Honey, I'm home." I turned my laptop screen toward the kitchen doorway and waited, my hands folded calmly in front of me, even though my pulse was hammering in my ears. She walked in with grocery bags in both hands, smiling, ready to speak. Then she saw the screen. The color drained from her face instantly. The grocery bags slipped from her fingers. Apples rolled across the tile floor, bumping softly against cabinet edges. "Why is there a charge for Plan B on our card?" I asked, my voice steady, controlled, surgical. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. Nothing came out. "Emma," I said quietly, "we've been trying for a baby." Her eyes filled with tears, but these were not the tears I had held her through month after month. These were not grief tears. These were panic tears, the kind that come when truth arrives uninvited. "I can explain," she whispered. "Then explain." She drew in a breath, and what came out of her mouth next didn't just end our marriage, it ended the version of myself I thought I knew. If you want to know what she said and what I found when I started digging, hit subscribe, because the Plan B charge was just the beginning. My name is Nathan Cross. I'm 34 years old and I live in Austin, Texas. I'm a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company, the kind of career that looks dependable from the outside. Structured hours, reliable income, a future that feels mapped out in clean, logical steps. I met Emma 6 years ago at a friend's wedding. She was a bridesmaid, I was a groomsman, and we ended up seated at the same table during dinner. She had blonde hair that caught the light when she laughed, and a smile that made conversation effortless. We talked through the reception, through the slow songs and the loud ones, through dessert, and long after most guests had left. 2 weeks later, we started dating. 3 years after that, we were married. For a long time, life with her felt easy, natural, like something that had always been meant to happen. We bought a small house in South Austin, 2 bedrooms, a modest backyard with enough space for a dog, and maybe someday a swing set. We talked constantly about the future, about children, family traditions, holidays, growing old side by side. Emma wanted 3 kids. I wanted 2. We joked and settled on 2.5, a compromise that made no sense but made us laugh every time we said it. Back then, we laughed about everything. Little inconveniences, inside jokes, the small absurdities of daily life. 2 years into our marriage, we decided it was time to start trying. Emma stopped birth control, we downloaded ovulation apps, tracked cycles, scheduled everything with precision. Month 1 passed quietly. Month 2 ended in disappointment. Month 3, Emma stared at a pregnancy test showing a single line and cried alone in the bathroom for 20 minutes before I found her. I held her, promised her it would happen, told her these things take time. "What if something's wrong with me?" she whispered. "Then we figure it out together," I said, and I meant every word. By month 6, we went to a fertility specialist. Dr. Patel was calm, reassuring, meticulous. She ordered tests for both of us, blood panels, ultrasounds, semen analysis, procedures that were uncomfortable in both body and pride. The results came back normal, nothing wrong. "Sometimes it simply takes time," she told us gently. "Stay relaxed." That word became a quiet irony between us. There was nothing relaxed about waiting, about tracking, about hoping and failing in predictable cycles. Still, we kept trying. Month 7, month 8, month 9. Each negative test carved something small but permanent inside us. Around month 12, changes began, subtle at first. Emma started going out more often. Girls' nights that used to be occasional became routine. She joined a new gym and began dressing differently, not in a way meant for comfort, but in a way that suggested attention. Her phone became constant company, always locked, always face down, always within reach. When I asked, she dismissed it lightly. "You're being paranoid, Nathan." "I'm just noticing," I said. "Noticing what? That I have friends? That I have a life outside this house?" I retreated because I didn't want to be suspicious. I wanted to believe in us more than I wanted answers.
At month 15, Emma suggested we stop trying so hard. "The pressure is killing me," she said. "Maybe if we relax, it'll happen naturally." It was the same advice Dr. Patel had given, so I agreed. We stopped tracking cycles, stopped scheduling intimacy, stopped discussing babies every day. And for a while, things felt lighter. Emma laughed more. She seemed present again. I thought the break had saved us. I thought we had found our way back to each other. I had no idea what was actually unfolding beneath the surface. Month 18. I was working from home, using my lunch break to review our finances. I've always handled the bills. Emma hates spreadsheets, deadlines, numbers. So I log in, review statements, pay what needs paying. Routine, predictable, safe. Until it wasn't. I scrolled through the credit card statement and saw it again. CVS Pharmacy, $52.47. Plan B emergency contraceptive, dated Tuesday afternoon. The CVS 2 miles from our house, the same location Emma always used. My thoughts fractured instantly. We'd had sex 2 nights earlier. Was she preventing my child or someone else's? I sat frozen, staring at the screen, my mind racing through possibilities I didn't want to believe. I checked the clock. 1:47 p.m. She wouldn't be home until evening. I had time to think, to decide how to confront her. I wanted to see her face, to watch her reaction, to hear truth spoken aloud. So I waited. I closed the laptop, made a sandwich I couldn't swallow, sat motionless on the couch for hours. When I heard her car pull into the driveway, I opened the laptop again and positioned the screen toward the kitchen. The door opened. "Honey, I'm home." She stepped inside carrying grocery bags, cheerful, unaware. "I stopped at H-E-B on the way home. They had those chips you like." Then she saw the screen. The smile vanished. The bags fell. Apples scattered. A jar shattered, red salsa spreading across the tile like a stain that wouldn't fade. "Nathan, why is there a charge for Plan B on our card?" I asked. My voice was calm in a way that didn't feel human. She froze, eyes wide, breath shallow. I can explain." "Then explain." She looked everywhere except at me. "It's not what you think." "What I think," I said slowly, "is that my wife, who's been devastated every month she isn't pregnant, bought emergency contraceptive 3 days ago." She began to cry, but I stayed still. "Nathan, we had sex Sunday night, 2 days before you bought that, so either you prevented my baby or someone else's." The silence that followed was suffocating. "It was a mistake," she whispered eventually. "Buying it or needing it?" She flinched. "There's someone else," she said at last. The words landed with brutal clarity. "How long?" "A few months." "How many is a few?" "6," she admitted. "Maybe 7. Half a year. While I was holding her through heartbreak, while I was planning a future with her, she was sharing herself with someone else. "Who?" I asked. She hesitated, then whispered a name. "Kyle." "Your trainer?" She nodded. The rest of the conversation blurred into fragments of disbelief, anger, and something colder than either. She admitted everything in broken sentences. I listened without raising my voice, without touching her, without reacting in any way that resembled emotion. When she finally said maybe she didn't want a baby with me, Something inside me closed permanently. I walked to the door. She called after me. I didn't answer. I got in my car and drove without direction, past familiar streets that suddenly meant nothing. Eventually, I stopped at a roadside motel off Highway 183. Cheap room, thin walls, stale air. I checked in, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the wall. My wife had been cheating on me for 6 months while I was trying to get her pregnant. The cruelty of it was almost impressive. I turned my phone back on around midnight. 47 missed calls, 89 text messages. Most from Emma, a few from her mom, one from my brother asking if I was okay. I ignored all of them and opened my laptop. If Emma could keep secrets, so could I. I started digging. First, I checked our credit card statements. Not just this month, all of them, going back a year. And there it was, a pattern I'd been too trusting to see. Monthly charges at the same hotel, the Kimber, downtown Austin. $200, $300 each time. Always on weekday afternoons. Always when Emma said she was working late or meeting a friend. I cross-referenced the dates with her girls' nights. They matched. She wasn't with her friends. She was with Kyle. I found charges for lingerie stores I'd never seen her shop at, restaurants I'd never been to with her. She'd been living a whole separate life on our joint credit card, using my money to fund her affair. Next, I checked her phone records. We were on a family plan. I had access to the account online. I pulled up her text and call logs. There was a number that appeared constantly, multiple times a day, texts, calls, sometimes lasting an hour. I reverse searched it. Kyle Morrison, personal trainer, 29 years old, 6 years younger than Emma, 8 years younger than me. I found his Instagram public profile, gym selfies, protein shake ads, motivational quotes. And there, buried in his photos from 3 months ago, Emma. They were at a park, his arm around her, her head on his shoulder. The caption, "Good vibes with good people." 103 likes, including one from Emma's account. She'd liked a photo of herself with the man she was cheating on me with. I screenshotted everything. Around 2 a.m., I called my brother.
Josh. Nathan. Jesus, man. It's 2 in the morning. Emma's been cheating on me. Silence. What? I told him everything. The Plan B charge, the confession, Kyle. Josh didn't interrupt, just listened. When I finished, he said, "Where are you?" "Motel 6. I'm coming to get you." "You don't have to. I'm coming." He showed up 40 minutes later. Didn't ask questions, just handed me a coffee and sat on the other bed. "You okay?" he asked. "No." Fair. We sat in silence for a while. Then Josh said, "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Do you want to try to work it out?" I thought about Emma's face when she said, "Maybe I don't want a baby with you." "No," I said. "I don't." Josh nodded. "Then you need a lawyer." The next morning, I called in sick to work. Then I called Daniel Voss, a divorce attorney my coworker had used 2 years ago. His assistant got me in that afternoon. Voss was mid-50s, gray hair, sharp eyes. He listened to my story without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back. "Do you have proof of the affair?" I slid my laptop across the desk, showed him everything. The credit card charges, the hotel receipts, the phone records, the Instagram photo. He nodded slowly. "This is good. Texas is a no-fault state, but infidelity still matters in asset division." What does that mean? It means the court can consider her actions when dividing property, especially since she used marital funds to conduct the affair. He pulled out a legal pad. "Let's talk assets. House, cars, bank accounts, retirement funds." We went through everything. The house was in both our names, worth about $340,000. We owed $210,000. 2 cars. Hers was newer, worth more. Joint bank account with about $18,000. My 401k had about $95,000. Hers had $40,000. "Any other assets?" Voss asked. I hesitated. "There's something else." I told him about the trust. My grandfather had been a successful businessman. When he died 10 years ago, he left a trust for his grandchildren. I was one of 4 beneficiaries. The trust was worth about $4 million split 4 ways. My share, $1 million. But it was structured carefully.
I didn't control it, couldn't access the principal, just received quarterly distributions, about $15,000 every 3 months. I'd been using that money to pay for the fertility treatments, the appointments, the medications. Emma knew about the distributions, but she didn't know the full value of the trust. I'd never told her. Not because I was hiding it, because my grandfather had made me a promise. "Don't let anyone marry you for money," he'd said on his deathbed. "Make sure they love you." So I kept it quiet. Voss leaned forward. "Is the trust mentioned in your prenup?" "We don't have a prenup." His eyebrows rose. "You have $1 million trust and no prenup? I didn't think I needed one." He sighed. "Okay, here's the good news. The trust was established before your marriage. It's a separate asset. She has no claim to the principal. And the bad news? The distributions you received during the marriage might be considered marital property. We'll argue they're not, but she could fight it." "Great. What do I do?" I asked. "We file first," Voss said. "We document everything, and we make sure she doesn't get a dime more than she's entitled to." I signed the retainer agreement. Voss filed the divorce papers 3 days later. Emma was served at work by a process server in front of her coworkers. I didn't plan that, but I didn't feel bad about it either. She called me 17 times that afternoon. I didn't answer. Finally, she texted, "We need to talk, please." I replied, "Talk to my lawyer." Then I blocked her number. 2 weeks later, Emma's attorney reached out. Her name was Michelle Kwan. Aggressive, expensive. She sent Voss a settlement proposal. Emma wanted the house, her car, fair, half my 401k, $3,000 a month in spousal support for 3 years, and half of any undisclosed assets, including trust distributions. I read it and laughed, actually laughed. "She's insane," I told Voss. "She's fishing," he corrected. "She knows about the trust now. She's trying to get a piece of it." "Can she?" "Not if I do my job right." Voss sent back a counteroffer. I'd keep the house, I'd buy out her equity, my car, my 401k minus what she contributed during the marriage, and the trust completely separate. Emma would get her car, her 401k, half the joint bank account, and $0 in spousal support because she committed adultery and used marital funds for the affair. Kwan rejected it immediately. "She's not backing down," Voss said. "We're going to have to fight this." "Then let's fight." Discovery was brutal. Both sides requested documents, financial records, phone logs, emails. I handed over everything. I had nothing to hide. Emma, on the other hand, fought every request. She didn't want to turn over her phone records, didn't want to provide credit card statements. Voss filed a motion to compel. The judge granted it. When Emma's records finally came through, they were worse than I thought. She'd spent over $15,000 of marital funds on the affair. Hotel rooms, dinners, gifts for Kyle. There was even a charge for a weekend trip to San Antonio, $1,200. I was at a work conference that weekend. She'd told me she was visiting her sister. She'd been with Kyle. The breaking point came during Emma's deposition. Voss questioned her under oath. "Mrs. Cross, when did the affair begin?" "Around March." "March of this year?" "Yes." "And you were still trying to conceive with your husband at that time?" "Yes." "Were you having unprotected sex with both men?" She hesitated. "Sometimes."
"Did you know whose child it would be if you got pregnant?" No. Voss let that sit. "Mrs. Cross, why did you purchase Plan B on June 14th? "I was scared." "Scared of what?" "That I might be pregnant, and I didn't know who the father was." "So you terminated a potential pregnancy rather than face the truth." "I didn't terminate anything. Plan B it prevents pregnancy." "A pregnancy you might have wanted if it was your husband's child, but you didn't want it if it was your lover's." Emma's lawyer objected, but the damage was done. The case went to mediation. We sat in separate rooms, lawyers shuttled back and forth. After 6 hours, we reached a settlement. Emma got her car, her 401k, $8,000 from the joint account. I kept $10,000 and $1,000 a month spousal support for a year, way less than she wanted. I got the house. I bought out her equity for $65,000. My car, my 401k, the trust completely untouched. She signed, so did I. It was over. 6 months later, I was sitting in my house, drinking coffee on a Saturday morning. The second bedroom, the one we'd planned to turn into a nursery, was now my home office. I'd repainted, new furniture, new energy. The house didn't feel like ours anymore. It felt like mine. I'd started seeing a therapist, working through the betrayal, the anger, the grief, because it was grief, mourning the life I thought I'd have. But slowly, I was building a new one. I heard through mutual friends that Emma and Kyle broke up. Apparently, once the affair wasn't secret anymore, it lost its appeal. Shocking. She'd moved into an apartment in North Austin, was dating someone new already. I didn't care. I'd blocked her on everything. Moved on. One Saturday I was at a coffee shop when I saw Emma. Emma with a guy I didn't recognize. She saw me too. Froze. For a second, we just looked at each other. And she looked away. And I realized I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no longing. Just nothing. I finished my coffee and left. A year after the divorce, I met someone new. Her name was Grace. She was a teacher, kind, honest, funny. We took things slow, really slow. I told her about Emma, about the affair, about the Plan B charge that started it all. She listened, didn't judge, just held my hand. "I'm not her," she said simply. I know, and I did. 2 years later, Grace and I got married. Small ceremony, close friends and family. No big production, just us promising to be honest, to be faithful, to choose each other every day. A year after that, she got pregnant. We didn't plan it, didn't track ovulation, didn't stress. It just happened. When she showed me the positive test, I cried. Not because I'd wanted this for so long, but because I was having it with the right person. Our daughter was born on a Tuesday in October. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. We named her Clara. Holding her for the first time, I thought about Emma, about the baby we'd tried so hard to have. And I realized I was glad it didn't work out, because this Grace, Claire, this life was what I was supposed to have, not the one I'd tried to force with the wrong person. I never saw Emma again. Heard she got married, had a kid of her own. I hope she's happy. I really do. Not because I forgive her, but because holding on to anger is exhausting, and I'd rather spend my energy on the people who chose me. The Plan B charge that ended my marriage was the best $52.47 I never wanted to spend, because it showed me the truth. And the truth, as painful as it was, set me free. If this story hit home, comment, "I'm free." If you've ever discovered a lie that changed everything, if you've ever had to rebuild from betrayal, if you've ever found the right person after the wrong one, this one's for you. Hit subscribe for more stories about the truth that sets you free. Because sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that could have happened. You just don't see it until you're on the other side.